Well, ladies and gentlemen, look who we have here on the show this evening. Brianna, it's a pleasure and honor. How are you?
I am so happy to be here. I am really excited. I love to chat this stuff.
Man, I've poured 70 hours into this game over the last few
70
weeks. Yes,
already.
I
Okay.
checked on the bottom left, 70 hours so far. Beat the game.
You
And you're
did. Okay.
what are you at? Zero.
0. I haven't started it yet.
How are you doing that? How is
It's
that possible?
really it's really hard, but it's okay because I wanted to give everybody a chance to play the game for themselves first before I started streaming it, and I wouldn't dare play it off stream. I wouldn't dare. So I haven't touched the game myself, and I've just been staying busy with all sorts of things, doing interviews like this. I had an article come out from the BBC this past weekend, which was really exciting. So I'm staying busy. I'm doing lots of stuff in relation to Rebirth, which helps me feel really close to it, but I haven't actually had any game time with it yet, except I did stream the demo, of course.
Of course, of course. But what about like clips and stuff you're being tagged in and that sort of thing? I mean, you would have had to seen something, right?
Yeah, I mean, of course, but there's a real difference between when I'm recording the game
Yeah.
and then I'm seeing clips and trailers of little moments versus when someone sends me a tweet or I see a YouTube comment about what's happening or there's discourse in conversation with people. And then ultimately, when I get to play it myself, all of those things are vastly different experiences for me. So I don't really, even though I know what happens in the game, I know so much about it and I know how people are experiencing it, it's still completely different. I don't feel spoiled at all for when I get to play it myself.
I remember seeing a clip of you, I think it went viral, where you were reacting to the first time you heard your voice in a game. Now, that is a special moment. What's the difference now coming into the second game versus the first, the lead up, and now the launch for you?
It's such a different time. Like, it's a
Mm,
really different time. Not only is it different because it's not my first time voice acting in a big project, it's also just a different time in the world. Remake came out in 2020, like 2 weeks after almost the whole world shut down and everybody was home. So it's completely different now, getting to experience the launch in a much happier, more excited sort of way. So I would say when I get to experience things, I'm happier versus anxious and crying. I still cry when I hear myself in the game, but it's more of a happy cry versus a just an overwhelming let go of attention. You know what I mean?
yeah. So when you're actually delivering some of these scenes, because this game, I mean, I was tearing up, but are you getting emotional actually performing?
Oh, it's very emotional, the whole process.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I can distinctly remember some days in the recording studio for Rebirth when we would be going into a scene or coming out of a scene, and I would say, actually, can we take our break a little bit early today? Because I need to like process a little bit.
Yeah.
Some of those like very heavy, intense emotional scenes, they hit me as a person performing that work because when you're acting, you're ideally trying to live and experience these moments, but at the same time, I experience them as a fan too, as someone who's learning what happens to these characters and in this game as well for the first time. So it's a very emotional process to record. And then watching it back adds another layer of emotion on top of that. So it's a lot.
There's just a lot of crying overall. What
Yes, that's a very fair thing to say.
what bubbles to the surface as a player, when playing? What part surfaces to the top? The actor, the fan?
When I'm actually playing the game, it is a total mishmash. I'll go through the game watching a scene that I didn't get to record for, and I didn't know that scene happened. Like, I didn't know this scene existed. So anything that I didn't record for, I don't know what's going to happen at all. For the most part, I know the very large story beats of the original FF7, but I haven't actually played the entire game myself. So a lot of the smaller references, the side characters, the mini games, those are all pretty much completely new to me if Aerith wasn't involved in that scene. So I get to experience those moments when I'm playing completely as a fan, completely fresh, and just experience the joy and the giddiness that any other fan gets to experience it as. But then I'll enter into combat and my voice will start screaming in pain or we'll be doing a battle cry, this one's for you. So in those moments, it's like a completely jarring, like, wait, I was experiencing this as a player and now all of a sudden I'm in it again. Oh my gosh, this is crazy. This is so overwhelming. And then I'll be playing a new scene where I'm not in it again. And it's like, it's blended together. It's a complete, like, it's like a tapestry of experience. It's completely wild.
Do you ever critique? You ever critiquing yourself?
Absolutely. Yes.
Oh,
I'm a
really?
human being. I'm a human being. Of course I
Well,
am.
like I should have done this one a little bit differently, or
Yes.
really?
Yes.
That's so
Yes,
funny.
absolutely. We are always our own worst critic. And so anybody who looks at their work after the fact is going to say, oh, I wish I could have done it differently this way, or I wish I would have given it a little bit more emphasis on this line. But I will say that because it's a very collaborative process, it's not entirely up to me what makes it into the game. So oftentimes, if I'm tempted to critique myself or critique a certain line or performance, oftentimes I get to very easily say, oh, well, I did do it differently. Because when you go into the booth, you give them right away 3 different versions of it. You give them 3 different takes. And then the director says, I like this one, or this one works best for the timing, or this one looks best when paired with the graphics. So there are so many different things that go into the ultimate performance that they pick that I can step back and say, well, this is the one that worked best, not only for my performance, but for everything, the entire work, the entire creation of this piece of art. So I do critique myself from time to time, but for the most part, I get to step back and say, well, if I didn't like it, somebody else picked that one. That wasn't me.
And to be honest, the whole cast are just incredible. I mean, these characters are so awesome in this. I'm new to the franchise. I never
Are
played
you
the original.
really?
Yeah, I never played the original. My first
Okay.
Final Fantasy game was a remake in 2020 in COVID. I took the week off and played it and loved it. But I know you've always been a gamer, and I saw a photo you took of Square Enix at E3 2015, and you weren't in the game at that point, right? It hadn't started?
2015. I don't know if Square Enix was on my radar in 2015, but in 2019, it was very much on my radar. Oh, you know what you might have seen?
Yeah.
I went to the Square Enix Cafe in Japan in
Oh,
20
wow. So
something.
that's not
20,
E3. That's a cafe.
no, no.
God, it looked like E3. Wow.
Well, I have posted things from E3, but that was in 2019.
Okay.
And I have been to previous E3s, but I think my first E3 was probably
Oh,
2016, and
okay.
I worked as a brand ambassador for Nintendo.
Wow. There you
So,
go.
yeah, so I got to, maybe it was 2016 because I got to demo Breath of the Wild, and then it came out the very next year, I think, if I'm
Which is one of your
remembering that
favorite
correctly.
series, right?
It is, yeah.
Yeah. Have
Yeah.
you played the new one from last year, Tears of the Kingdom?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Beaten it?
I haven't beat it. No, it's such a big game and I'm not very good with spatial awareness puzzles. So Tears of the Kingdom actually kind of like emphasized my weakness as a player and it wasn't my favorite direction, but I still loved it as far as I love all Zelda games.
So you went to Japan and took a
Yeah.
photo of the cafe, and that you were never a part of the franchise at that point.
Not at that point. No, I was a big fan of Final Fantasy 14.
The MMO.
Unusually, yeah, Final Fantasy 14 was actually my first Final Fantasy, which is a little
So
unusual
you
for
are a
most
nerd.
gamers. A little bit, yeah, yeah. Played a lot of Final Fantasy 14. I think I have something like 2,000 gameplay hours in that game.
Whoa. Whoa.
I really got into 14.
What made you
Yeah,
get
and
into
then
it so much? What was it? Just
because
addicting?
I was a fan of Zelda and
Right.
I was looking for other games that I could fill my time with, as someone who was making gaming content online. I wanted a game that was just for me that I could enjoy. And I had played games like the Fable series, that I really enjoyed. And I played a game called Kingdoms of Amalur that was really, really fun.
Wow. My friend swears by that game. I never played it.
It's
Swears by it.
such a good game, but
Is
it
it?
really had some kind of controversy. I don't exactly remember what it was, but there was some kind of controversy, and the game was kind of like not critically acclaimed.
Yeah,
But
right.
I had an absolute blast with it. I had an amazing time. I love that game still to this day. Dragon Age Inquisition is one of my favorite series, or Dragon Age Inquisition is one of my favorite games, and Dragon Age in general is one of my favorite series. So that all kind of led me to like, what are games that are kind of similar to this? And Final Fantasy is, a very long lasting series. It's a JRPG series, just like Zelda. And so I played 14, fell in love, and I've been in it ever since. Like really in it.
I can see Horizon back there on top of your head. Is that Horizon Forbidden
Yes.
West? Yeah.
Yes.
Now
This
that's a
came
great
in
game.
like a press package. Yeah.
Yeah. What else is in the Mount Rushmore? You got Zelda.
Uh-huh.
What?
Let's see what else we got here. We've got this is the giraffe from The Last of Us.
Oh, that's
Uh-huh. That's an official
great.
PlayStation thing. We've got Horizon here. We've got a Torgal plushie from Final Fantasy 16. We've got
Oh,
Eevee. There's a Discord Wumpus back there. And then this whole shelf is all Aerith and Final Fantasy 7. And then this shelf is a collection of Final Fantasy 16 and more The Last of Us. There's a
oh.
Miyazaki reference in there. What else? Yeah, there's a Zelda hat down there.
Did you ever play Elden Ring?
I did not. I don't play any of the like games that are crushingly difficult.
Okay.
It's not my cup of tea.
No.
It generally I like
Have
to
fun.
have fun. Yeah, yeah. And
Do
I
you?
do like to challenge myself to a degree, but I don't love that
Yeah.
like rage inducing. I have to get so much better. I have to try this fight 14 different times and watch a guide and maximize my build. That's not what I
Too
play
far.
games for.
Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Do
But
you want?
I've heard amazing things, obviously.
But you finished Last of Us, didn't you?
Yes, I finished The Last of Us Part 1. I still haven't finished The Last of Us Part 2, which is one of my greatest regrets as a gamer to this day. It just, when it came out just a few months after Remake came out.
Ah, I
And
did too. Yeah.
the remake journey was such a wild ride for me that I was like holding on with like a fierce grip, just trying not to fall off the roller coaster. So I never got to finish The Last of Us Part 2, but to this day, this is one of the things I want to do as a gamer more than anything.
Have you got a backlog like me written down
Yes.
about 100 games long that you'll never get
Yes.
to?
Yes. Yes. It's really shameful. I feel horrible about it, but it's just, you know how it is. It's so
Oh,
hard.
well, it's not like a
It's so
movie. It's not
hard.
2 hours and you're done. Some
No.
of these games are 100 hours.
Yes.
Uh,
Speaking of games that are 100 hours. Um, no, I don't know how I'm gonna finish streaming Rebirth. I'm terrified.
how did you go? Did you end up finishing Remake on stream? Got it all
I
done?
did. It took me months. It took forever. And that was only, they said the main story for that was only 40-ish hours, but it took me, let's see, when did it came out? It came out in April. I probably started it for real in May, June, July, August. It took me 4 months to finish that game.
But I know you're kind of like me, where you got to prepare yourself for a stream. You've got to kind of get into the rhythm, and because it's not that easy, is it? You got to mentally prepare yourself, kind of, to be on.
Oh, absolutely. There's the mental preparation, there's the physical preparation. I got to do my hair, I got to do my makeup. I have to, make sure all the stream titles are updated. You have to pop out the chat, get all your windows oriented on your screen. You have to update your PlayStation 5 because you haven't done that since the last stream.
You're dual
You
streaming
know,
now, for God's sake. I mean, that's
I
crazy.
am. I know I just started a couple weeks ago as a tester since Twitch changed their terms of service. So,
Yeah.
yeah, going live on Twitch and YouTube, making sure to be able to read both chats, make sure notifications for both. It's a lot. It's a lot.
I've heard vertical streaming's pretty good for sort of growth as well on YouTube. They just introduced it, obviously to take on TikTok.
Oh,
Take on TikTok. But there's just another thing for us to think about. I mean, there's too
Yeah,
much,
I
too many
wouldn't
platforms.
even know where to go with that. Like,
Yeah, I know.
how would I adjust my OBS to be able to output in two different formats? I don't think OBS does that yet, right? I'm sure it could.
Yeah.
Don't
You
think it
needed a
does
third
yet.
party. It's a whole thing. But
That's wild. Yeah, no. It's a lot to think about. Streaming is absolutely one of the most technically challenging things I have ever done. And it changes all the time. It's not like you just figure it out once and then you're golden. No, you have to refigure it out
no.
every time they put out an update. It's horrible.
When did you start streaming? How long ago?
I started streaming, I would say probably live streaming in 2017, but I had been making non-live YouTube videos since 2015.
Doing Let's Plays?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, just recording them back before live streaming had really taken off. I was just recording Let's Plays and posting them.
What game got you to the next level? Or what piece of content?
As far as growth goes,
Yeah.
there was a period of my YouTube channel where I was actually playing with my sibling, and I like started the channel with my sibling, and that was a really fun time. But he and I played different games, and so we were kind of trying to find what the audience wanted to see from us specifically.
Yeah.
And then he decided to back off the channel, and I had to kind of go forward and figure out what the channel became. And so the first period of growth was playing The Last of Us, honestly.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because right before that I played Uncharted. Uncharted 4 had just come out. I played Uncharted 4 on the
That's my
channel
favorite
and
series,
then
by the way,
Uncharted?
of all time. Yeah.
Oh, I completely am right there with you.
So
Easily
good.
in top 5 for me. It's
Pure
really,
fun.
really good.
Pure fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely it is. But
So
so
good.
well done as well.
Yeah.
So because that's Naughty Dog, the studio, all of the comments said, okay, you have to play The Last of Us next. So I played The Last of Us in conjunction with Life is Strange, and I was switching off playing those two games, both of which are incredibly heavy emotional games.
And you're a crier
Um,
already.
and
Yeah.
I'm a crier. And so something about that perfect storm was like the first period of like growth and like finding out where my channel lives on YouTube.
I don't know how you're going to get through Rebirth. I mean, honestly, you are going to be a different woman by the end of it.
No, and I already know what's coming is kind of the best and the worst part. I know.
So when
It's
are you
wild.
starting this month? Going to start the stream this month? Strange Rebel Gaming, right?
Yes, I
Yeah.
think I'm gonna start it next week, actually.
Everyone?
Well, depending on when this video goes up, but yeah, for me, I'm thinking of starting it the week of March 18th.
March 18th. Beautiful. I'll leave the link in the
Mhm.
description. So what was your approach on the character for this game versus the first? I'm curious.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think I think with Remake, because I came into it really not knowing what to expect at all, there were a lot of conversations about what the process would be like and what the character would be like. Um, but I didn't think about it more than how to get through that day. I didn't think
Day by
about
day.
yeah, I didn't think about having any ownership over her arc or her existence through time. But I have that now that
Right.
I've been portraying this character since 2019.
That's
You know,
crazy, isn't it?
5 years now. That's
Mm.
absolutely insane. So I have been able to see her through Remake and experience her character in Remake. Then I had the amazing opportunity that I don't think anybody expected, least of all me, to portray her in Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion. So I got to embrace a character that's younger and a little bit more naive and a little bit quieter and experience her growth from before in a prequel way, and then get to come back to her in Rebirth. So I've been able to kind of grow with this character through time in a really just an honestly blessed sort of way, because a lot of actors don't get to spend that much time with a character. So
No.
to be able to kind of be on the journey with her for that long and through that span of her growth has been really cool. So being able to kind of get to know her in Remake, deepen her backstory in Crisis Core, and then in Rebirth get to see her come into her own and come into her
Mm.
confidence almost, and be able to feel a deepening of her relationship with the people around her, and more capable and confident in who she is. I think that's probably the coolest thing I've ever done.
No, I agree because, and slight spoilers, guys. Towards the later half of the game, there's some scenes there where you're sort of wielding the live stream, and then there's these amazing speeches about death and these full on stuff, and you really come into your own. Though in those scenes, I feel like the confidence is, as you say, there is still that
Yes.
playfulness throughout, but really come
She's
into your
still
own.
the same person, but yeah, she understands the stakes, you know? And she knows, it's really beautiful to be able to see a character who has sort of not grown up knowing anything about herself or who she is. And we as the players discover that with her.
Mm.
I think in Rebirth, she really discovers what it means to be Cetra. And that was really, really cool to dive into.
So you knew that from the start of the process, or were you learning this as you go on?
I learn everything as I go because they don't tell me anything ahead of time.
See, that must be tough then, right?
Yeah. That's an understatement.
Is you kind of
Yes.
don't know where you're going with it. So you've got to, as you said,
No.
you've got to play it day by day.
You play it day by day, and you also, I mean, for the most part, we don't record chronologically. So we
Oh
don't
wow.
necessarily get to start at the beginning of the game and then end at the end of the game. But
Wow.
for the most part, we do record specific scenes chronologically. So I am able to
Okay.
see kind of where her emotional start at the scene, at the beginning of a scene is, and then where her emotional journey takes her through the end of the scene. And that is really, really crucial from an acting perspective. But anytime that we actors don't know, what scene we're switching in between, if we're going forward, if we're going backward, what's going on here, that's what the writers and the directors are there to help us out with. So we in the English language in Final Fantasy VII Remake series, it's a localization. So everything is done in Japanese first, and then we have to have that translated, and we work with the translators and the vocal director, and they help us figure out, okay, here's where we are in the scene. Here's what was said just before you. Here's kind of where things need to go. And they help us figure out how to hit those emotional beats, even when we haven't had the whole script laid out in front of us.
So for an ensemble scene where there's Barrett and Cloud and everyone talking, you hearing playback at all, or are you just delivering your lines?
It
Because it
it
feels so
depends.
natural.
Good. It
Yeah.
should. And that's means we're doing our job. And thank goodness for that. It's our job to make it sound natural, even though it's not at all. I am sitting in front of a microphone. Actually, I'm standing in front of a microphone
You're
in
a
a booth
stander.
all by
Yeah.
myself. I am, yeah, I'm a stander. Some people sit to deliver their lines. I prefer to stand.
Are you using the body as well? Your body mover?
Yes,
Yeah.
you have to.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say that that's one of the things that people really don't expect with voice acting, but that's one of the the earliest lessons they teach you in any voice acting class is if you are using your body, it's going to sound different than if you
I
are
agree.
completely stiff and standing and not moving.
At the end of the day, it's acting. It's all acting, isn't it?
Yes, that's the core of it. And so even though I don't have John Bentley next to me in the booth recording his lines while I'm recording my lines. But if it's necessary and it's available, sometimes they will offer playback and say, oh, the person before you, um, here's an example where this would be actually really important. So there are a couple scenes where we're projecting because we're talking to somebody who's across the room, or we're in a mine and we need to make sure that we have the proper level of projection to make it sound right for how far away we're trying to reach somebody. And so if I'm saying, hey, Cloud, and I'm kind of yelling it, well, if he's standing right next to me, that's going to be kind of awkward, right?
Yeah.
So things like that, where we're trying to figure out the level of projection, if they happen to have Tifa, who recorded before me, they'll play her so that I can kind of match that if that's necessary. It isn't always.
Do you think that? So when did you meet the cast? Because I'm curious if, because you've gotten to know John and Cody and everyone more as the years have gone on, that's translated into chemistry in the game. Do you think that's a real thing?
I do,
Yeah.
but I'll also say this. There are some voices that the second you hear them in your headphones, you feel like you've known them a million years,
Oh,
or you
so true.
like them instantly, or you hate them instantly.
Yeah.
The voice that I heard instantly in my headphones and a shiver went down my spine is Don Corneo.
Wow. Yeah.
Good voice acting, and specifically for some of these like very strong character actors like Don Corneo, um, you don't have to meet them
Yeah. Yeah. You're right. You are
to
right.
have an instant visceral reaction that you can then channel into your performance because they're that good, you know?
Yeah. Kind of like
But
you.
I have met well, I would hope so. I don't know. I can't say for sure
No,
that's the
I'm
case.
saying
I'm a
it.
little biased, but thank you. Thank you. But having met the cast is wonderful and I love that, but it's not necessary to have that sort of like chemistry. Although I will say one of the things that I still love hearing and I never get over hearing is Cody saying Aerith in Cloud's voice. I love the way that he says it. It's fantastic.
Gives you the feels. Yeah.
It does. It just makes me happy. Yeah.
I loved that the photo of Aerith with the sunglasses, and that got the
Me
community riled
too.
up.
Yes, the synergy ability where Barrett pulls a pair of sunglasses and
So
gives it
cool.
to Aerith, and then Aerith throws them on. Yeah, amazing. They did such a great job with the synergy abilities, giving them like character.
What was it like? Because there's some specific scenes where there's different options for you to react. So there's like kind of a negative response or a positive response. And I went on a date with you in Costa del Sol, and I thought things were going smoothly, but I stuffed up the mini game, and you gave it to me, and then stuffed up the mini game with Red, and
Uh-huh.
that must have been fun.
Oh, it's so fun. So fun. And that's actually something that, because I'm familiar with video games and especially like games with different choices, like I said, I've played Life is Strange and been able to play that game multiple times to see the different choices and branches and different things that people say. Luckily, that helps me because when we're in the booth and I'm looking at the lines in front of me, and sometimes the lines are sequential because it's a scene of dialogue back and forth between two characters, but sometimes it's like, this line says, wow, you did great. And the very next line is, you could have done better on that one. I am able to say, oh, I know what this is doing. I know that this is like, if you nail it, and then the next one is like, oh, that wasn't ideal. And then the next one is, oh, you really bombed that one, didn't you? That's always super, super fun.
I really love that scene on the beach towards the end of Costa del Sol. I don't know if you remember or have seen it, where Cloud and Aerith are having that one-on-one scene.
Yeah.
You got that beautiful backdrop. And do you
I
remember?
haven't seen it
Okay,
like with my
but you
eyes,
remember
but
doing
I
it.
remember recording it, yeah.
Yeah, because it must be
Um,
second nature to you now after 5 years.
yes and no.
Mm.
Um, Sometimes it feels like I'm constantly discovering new facets of her. Like the things that she says about Hojo, those are colors that she doesn't really get to explore too much before that moment. And I really enjoyed that part.
You know what scene got me? The tragic backstory towards the end with the
Mm,
mother. There was a tear shed
mm-hmm.
there for sure.
Good,
But you were
good.
you weren't in that scene, were you? That's the weird thing,
Um,
right?
right. No.
Man, so you're in for so many surprises in this game.
Well, yes, but anything that's related to my backstory, like Aerith's backstory, I know what I need to know. So what happens isn't exactly a surprise to me, but getting to see it all in its full glory
Yeah.
is always going to be a surprise. Yeah.
What about the mini games? What about Queen's Blood? I'm lost in
That
Queen's Blood.
that will
Tell you
all be
what.
new to me. That will all be completely new to me. And I will say this too. I've popped into a few different streams of Rebirth in the past week or so, and every time I see someone playing Queen's Blood, I'm like, I do not understand this game. Maybe it's because I haven't sat through the tutorial, but I can't pick it up just by watching it. I really thought I would be able to pick it up just by watching, and I cannot track what how to play.
Well, I was a Yu-Gi-Oh fan, so it brings me back to those days as a child.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's not too bad. I mean, have you ever played The Witcher?
No.
Oh, okay. I'm trying to think of other games that have card games in them. Horizon has a nice little mini game. Don't remember that one?
I
Yeah.
haven't played that card game. Nope.
So that's a bit daunting to you. So that might be a that might, that might
I'm a little nervous. Yes.
well, it is a part of the main quest, you know. Well, actually, I think you can skip it.
Yes.
You might be able to skip it if you're not a
I
fan.
think you might not be able to skip some of them
Mm,
if what I've seen is accurate, but I'm not sure.
yeah. So, how have you found the discourse over the ending? I don't know how much you can say. Say what you want.
Square Enix has asked me not to overtly spoil anything, of
Of
course.
course, of course.
Yes. But of course I've seen people discussing it, of course. I
I thought
it's
it, I
hard.
thought it was fantastic, by the way.
That's really wonderful for me to
Mm,
hear because obviously there's discourse.
mm.
Obviously there's some contention. There are people who have opinions one way or the other. But what that means is it's not overtly negative. It just means it's mixed and people are debating it and it makes people wonder. And I love that. And I'm sure Square Enix loves that. But it makes me a little nervous, of course, because of how connected I am to that discourse.
Yeah.
But luckily, it's been fine so far as there's been nothing negative has come my way directly from it. And that's really any time I have to worry about that is scary, but it
Hey,
hasn't, and that's great.
if there's no discourse, no one cares. That's what I say. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Everyone's so
Exactly.
passionate about this series, and
Yes.
everyone has their own opinions. But at the end of the day, anyone that's played this game that I've seen has given it 9, 10 out of 10 because it just the whole ride. Of course, you can't like everything in a game. I mean, I kind of do in this game. There's not much I don't like,
Great.
but
That's awesome.
but
We'll leave it there.
it's I really love Gold Saucer. I tell you what,
Oh, good.
that whole area. Do you remember shooting the date scene, the romance on the sky wheel?
Yes.
What
Yes.
are they? What direction do they give you for a scene like that?
Oh gosh. Not much, honestly.
Really?
For that scene in particular, it's all pretty obvious what sort of scene it is. Um, you know, like, and especially because it's a recreation of such an iconic scene from FF7, I already knew what was coming. Like I didn't need any additional context or direction. It's pretty laid out in the script there. And I think what I love about that scene specifically is that it's so it's so Aerith.
Oh,
It's so core Aerith. It is such a perfect example of who she is. It's I love that. I specifically remember recording in the booth for that and just like I can't wait for people to play this. They're gonna love this.
did you know about there was a way to do it with the others as well? Like,
Yeah, of
yeah,
course.
yeah, yeah.
Because that is in the original FF7 too.
Oh, it is. Okay. Sorry,
Yes. It's
I'm
okay. Yeah,
ignorant.
no,
Yeah.
it helps that you told me that you didn't play the original. But yes, so in the original, there you can go on dates with different people. Yeah.
Wow. So I'm guessing you're going to be loving up yourself when playing.
Yeah, I'm gonna try. And you know what's funny? I've actually had a few people reach out to me that are like, Brianna, sometimes you're going to try to, raise your affinity with Aerith. And on accident, you might say the right thing. So just don't say the wrong thing, okay? Because I'll be devastated if you accidentally date Tifa. And I'm like, I get it. I understand. But at the same time, like, if that happens, then that happens. Like, that's the joy of a playthrough. That's the joy of multiple playthroughs. I would never, like, let's say the gold saucer thing happens and I accidentally don't get to date Aerith. That's okay. I will go back and make it right. Like I would never not watch that scene on stream. So I don't want anybody to worry about that.
God, that'd be funny if you got Tifa. Jeez,
I
that'd be
don't
hilarious,
It
wouldn't
would be just my luck, honestly. Streamer's curse, right? The way that you want it to go is never the way it actually goes.
it?
And honestly,
Oh,
I'd probably never live it down if like Aerith didn't like me enough in the game. If I didn't have max affinity with Aerith, I would never live it down.
well, you can always reload the save like I did to get the right. I didn't.
I'm sure that's going to be happening.
I didn't even know about the Tifa versus Aerith sort of battle that goes on within the community and how do you
Yes.
navigate your way through all that? Because the fans are,
Um,
I've never seen anything quite like it, to be
yeah,
honest.
it was a bit tougher during remake, I would say, because I wasn't as aware that there was so much negativity surrounding it. And so I really just kind of stayed away from anything regarding that.
Oh, does it
I would
actually get quite negative?
It
I'm
really
ignorant.
it really does. It
Okay.
can. It can. Um, but I also, try not to focus on the negative because I think that what you pay attention to grows. And so, if anybody's overtly nasty or negative towards me specifically, it's an easy mute or block. But that doesn't happen very often. For the most part, things have settled down with Rebirth, and I've only really seen very positive things. And I get asked this all the time, like, who do you ship? And to be honest, like, I know some people think it's a cop out answer, but it's whoever you think is right. That's
Yeah,
the way the game is designed.
100%.
There's a
Yeah.
reason why it's an option for you to go on a date with Aerith or with Tifa or with neither of them. Like there is a reason for that. It's because it's an RPG, it's a role-playing game. So you, Cloud, the character, the player, get to choose who you like the best. And both are correct. All are correct. And so that's why anybody asking me, oh, who do you ship? I'm like, yes. I love the relationship between Cloud and Tifa. And I love the relationship between Cloud and Aerith. I love it. I love it
Mm.
all. Yes. Yes. Whenever any sort of fan art pops up on my Twitter, yes. I love it. I love that stuff. I love all of it. I love the passion for the game. I love the love for the game and the characters. And whatever your headcanon is, I love that for you. And I just don't care about anything else. I don't care about the negativity or mine's right, yours is wrong. It's just they're all right.
You've got it. You've got it yourself sorted, Brianna. You know, you got your head screwed on. I tell you what.
It's not easy. And you know what? If I have my head screwed on right about one thing, it's all screwy for another thing. So, it balances out.
What are you doing with yourself to sort of calm yourself down? Like, do you do mindfulness work, or meditation, or?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I have to. I have to. Yeah. I definitely had a really hard time when Remake came out, not only because of the game being so mega popular, because everyone was kind of stuck at home playing video games and Remake came out at just the right time. But also because that video you mentioned that did go viral of me hearing my voice for the first time, I've never gone viral before, and that was a lot for me. Going viral is honestly, I don't wish it on anybody.
Can you tell us? Can you give us a
really
deep dive into that? Like, what happened with you because of that? I'm curious.
For me, it was feeling so intensely seen by so many people that I was a consumer of, that suddenly the tables turned. So an example of that is, whenever somebody goes viral on Twitter or TikTok or Instagram or whatever, and then suddenly like Wendy's leaves a comment, and then the creator goes, "Oh my God, Wendy's just commented on my Instagram reel," or whatever. That's an example of I have a consumer relationship, and now you're consuming my content. And so the roles reversed, and suddenly like people that I really respected and admired in the game industry were commenting on my video.
So was it overwhelming joy, or was
Yes.
were you scared? What's the feeling?
Yes.
Everything, all the above.
Because it's just topsy-turvy. It's not that I got any overt hate. I really didn't. I did not get
Well, how could anyone hate you?
No,
Come on.
well, because there are people out there who just want to watch the world burn.
Oh, well, they're
you know
idiots.
this.
Yeah, they're
yes.
idiots. Yeah.
But they're not worth paying attention to, and they were by far the minority, right? But overall, the amount of positive energy that came my way was overwhelming as well. I mean, I had people texting me that I knew in elementary school.
Wow.
I had people sending me messages on Facebook that like I went to college with, and they had seen my video. And these are people I hadn't talked to in years, coming out of the woodworks, sending me messages.
Do you respond to them all? I mean, you can't, can you?
You can't.
Nah.
I can't.
It's too much.
For the most part, for most of my content creation journey, that was what was special about me, is I read every single comment on my YouTube channel. And I responded to 90% of them up until
then.
I went viral. And then I tried to maintain that. I responded to as many as I could, and you can't respond to all of them. You just can't.
What's your relationship now with social media and your community, and how do you tackle it now?
When Remake came out and when I went viral, I had to set some ground rules for myself.
Yeah.
And so when things get really, really heightened, like really intense, I set ground rules where I don't use social media in the first hour after I wake up and the last hour before I go to bed.
Oh, I wish I did that. That's a great idea.
Honestly, it's just 2 hours of your day where you're not looking at socials. But if you do that, I'm telling you, it changes your entire day.
I can see that.
Everything is better with just those specific 2 hours.
Wow.
So I don't use social media in those 2 hours, but I will like listen to music, and I try to start my day with an act of self-care every morning. So whether that's just listening to music, going for a walk, journaling, just like looking outside, petting my dog while I drink my coffee.
Don't you?
I got 2 dogs, yeah.
Now, one of them's Sega?
Yes.
And the other is?
Atari.
Oh, that is sick.
Yeah.
That is great. I
As
love
you
that.
said earlier, I really am a nerd.
Yeah, you are a nerd. But that is great. What type of dog are they?
They're both rescue mutts.
Oh,
So Atari, I got both of their DNA tested, insofar as however accurate that is for dogs.
yeah.
But Atari is a Chow Chow Chihuahua boxer mix. So
Wow.
a true mutt. And
Wow.
then Sega is a 60% cattle dog, Australian cattle dog.
Aussie,
And
Aussie, Aussie.
yes. And then the rest is like a little bit pit bull, a little bit German Shepherd. So
And they get
a little
along
bit everything.
well.
Oh, as well as sibling dogs get along.
They're
Yeah, I
vying for your
think
attention.
vying for my attention, and then the puppy Sega is always bothering Atari. Always bothering to, play with me, shoving toys in her face, climbing all over her. It's adorable,
That's what my
but
dog does to me.
yes.
If I'm working in the
So,
office at 1 a.m., she'll knock on this door with a toy and come in and say, "Come on, let's go, let's play." It's
oh,
1
that's so
a.m.
cute.
We've gone for 3
Yes.
walks.
Oh, but hey, you're awake, so
Yeah,
it counts.
exactly. How old are they?
Let's see. Atari is, oh gosh, 6, almost 7 years old,
Yep.
I think. Did I do that math right? Yeah, almost 7 years old, and Sega just turned 1.
Oh, Sega's a new part of the family.
She is, yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
fantastic. I
yeah.
also wanted to get your reaction to that beautiful song.
Oh,
Um,
sure.
No Promises to Keep is the name, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that is and it was performed at the Game Awards. Beautiful
Mm-hmm.
orchestra in the back. How did that feel? I mean, because I know you could probably sing it too because I know you're a singer. No, I've seen you in the rap battle. Rap battle.
Oh, you
Yeah,
saw my rap
yeah,
battles.
that
Okay,
was
okay.
awesome. That was
Great.
awesome.
Thank you. Thank
Um,
you. Those are fun.
but yeah, what was your reaction to that?
So, my first reaction when I was seeing at the Game Awards, seeing that trailer and seeing her sing that song, Lauren Allred does an amazing job. She's a fantastic, very technically talented singer. My first thought was, oh, that's how that works. Because when I was recording for Rebirth, it was said in the script, we did the lead up to a big performance, and I was thinking to myself, are they going to make me sing? Because I don't know what that's going to be like. And then that never came back up. And I thought, oh, maybe we'll save it for the end, or maybe they'll come back to it, revisit it. And then we never did. And so when I saw Lauren Allred performing her version of it, I was like, okay, now that adds up. They brought in another singer. But I read an interview from Square Enix recently that said that the way that came to pass is that they started working with Lauren Allred on that song as a theme song before they had assigned that to Aerith.
Oh wow,
That's what the interview said. So
yeah,
so that was in the works well before my involvement at all.
yeah,
Um so so that was my
yeah,
initial reaction, of course, is
yeah,
oh, that makes sense.
yeah.
It adds up. I get it now. Um, but she obviously does an amazing job. And then you actually listen to the song, you listen to the lyrics, and yes, tears every
Were
time.
there? Were there actually tears?
I think my
Uh,
reaction is up on YouTube. It's very emotional. Yes.
yeah, man. And I saw you cosplaying Aerith. This would have
Oh,
been
yeah.
years ago, actually. Now, right?
Yep. Uh-huh. I think
Man, time
the first
flies.
one, 2021, I think.
And how did you put that together?
I
Did you have any help at all?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. I think it was at PAX East in 2020. This would have been, yeah, February of 2020. And I had a friend introduce me to a cosplayer named Kate. And she came up to me at PAX East and she said, Brianna, hey. And I came over. I was like, oh my gosh, hi. And she was like, would you want to collaborate on a cosplay and do an Aerith cosplay? And I was like, yes, but I don't know how to make anything. And she was like, well, I'll help you. And I was like, yes, let's work together, please. That would be amazing. And then I said, but then all we need is a photographer. And she said, look who I brought with me. And it was Martin Wong, a photographer who does a lot of cosplay photography and is just a really talented photographer in general. And so that in that one meeting, everything came to be. And that's how my first Aerith cosplay came to be.
So how long from that meeting to the shooting?
A year.
Oh, wow. Okay, there you go. Shit.
Partly because I was focused on the streaming of Remake, and partly because everything with COVID happened, and then shipping and like delivery times of things. We bought some pieces, we made some pieces. So it was kind of like a whole, any creative endeavor at that time was a miracle to have happened at all. But yes, it took a full year. And then at the same time, I think maybe just a week later, I had a cosplayer email me or send me an Instagram message or something saying, hey, I would be honored to make Aerith's red dress for you. And a completely different cosplayer. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. Yes, please. And that was Reagan Catherine. And she made my red dress cosplay. So now I've cosplayed 2 Aerith outfits.
Are you packing up shop, or is there more left in the tank, do you think? Oh, okay. Read into it what you will.
There might be something in the works.
Oh, okay. We really appreciate your time, by the way. I'll just give you a couple more. What was your proudest moment from Remake and Rebirth?
Proudest moment. Oh, that's tough. Oh, my first instinct is to say booking it.
I know the crazy story where, what was it? There was an email that flew out and it wasn't meant for you. And I mean, that is just crazy.
Yeah, I got an email from my agent, which checked out, but the email was addressed to somebody else. And I contacted my agent and I said, I'd love to audition for this, but is this for me? And he said, oh, well, this was originally a request for someone else, but they weren't available or turned it down or something like that. And so, I told the casting director to, take a look at anybody else on my team. And they asked about me. And so that's how I got the email. It was sent to me. The email was sent to me on purpose, but I wasn't the first choice, is another way to phrase that. So, yeah, and then I auditioned and I thought I would never book it in a million years. I thought there's no way. I've never done a big voiceover project. Like I took like one voiceover class in college. There's no reason for me to book this, but it's super fun. Like I'm super happy just to have auditioned. Months went by and I thought, well, that was fun, but it wasn't for me. And then I got the call that I actually booked it. And I was...
You jumping on the couch?
No, quite the opposite. I just kind of stared off into space.
Oh, blanked out.
I felt the world stop spinning for a moment.
Oh, wow.
And I had to double check with myself. No, I just had to double check that it was real.
Oh,
because that's how happy I was. It felt like it couldn't possibly be real because I hadn't earned it.
Or you didn't feel like you'd earned it. Yeah.
I didn't feel like I'd earned it. Yeah. I did eventually come to earn it with plenty of blood, sweat, and hard work and tears.
Of course.
But in that moment, I was like, wow, I can do this. There have been so many people my whole life telling me I can't do this, that acting is too hard, that it's not a good industry, that it's too rare to succeed. And here I am doing it. And I can. It didn't feel real.
That's amazing. Do you, the pressure of that versus this second game, is it the same sort of pressure for you? Or do you blank that out and just do the work and you don't think about that? Well, because it's an established, character that's loved and,
If I was, the healthiest human in the world, I would say, oh yeah, I don't think about the pressure at all. Yeah. But I'm human and I do think about the pressure. I would say that the pressure during Remake was a little bit different because I thought this is something that is so beloved and is such a, a legendary story, a legendary game in its own right. And now we're redoing it. And before the first game had come out, I didn't know if people would buy into the fact that it was being redone at all. I don't think people were sure
Mm,
that it would be a success at all.
mm.
Because not every game that comes out is a success for lots of different reasons. And I don't think that, especially on the tails of, Final Fantasy 15, and, there was a lot of mixed feelings about that game. I personally loved it, but not everyone did. So for remake, there was a lot of pressure of, is this project going to work at all? And then there was the pressure of, are they going to like my work? Because I'm not experienced. I'm not famous at voice actor. Like, I shouldn't be here. Um, that all went away for Rebirth. We know people like my voice. We know the project in general as a concept works. Okay, so what's the pressure for Rebirth? Well, for Rebirth is, can we replicate that? Can we do it again?
Yeah.
Or was that just like a one-off magical mysterious thing? And two, um it was well known, it was well publicized that the end of Rebirth was going to be a retelling of one of gaming's most iconic moments in history that I'm
Mm.
involved in.
You're the center of. Yeah.
So yes, the pressure was there. Like I felt it. I felt it.
Yeah.
I was aware. That was a thing. Yes, but I didn't have to feel that so acutely throughout the entire recording process. I got to enjoy and relax through most of the recording process. It was just once we got to that critical scene that I felt, oh, we gotta get this right. Oh, we gotta get this right.
Also, there were nerves on the in the booth for that one. Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah,
Of
for sure.
course.
Well,
Yes.
let me tell you, you absolutely nailed it. You were
Thank you.
fucking tastic.
Thank you.
So, yeah, you should be very proud of your work on all three games, and I'm really looking forward to hopefully the final chapter, which will probably be in 3 or 4 years. Hopefully, I'm alive and well, and you never know. But I just want to play it now. You know what I mean? It's one of those things.
I
It's
get it.
yeah, but
I get it.
is there anything you want to say to the fans that have tuned in today, Brianna?
Just thank you.
Yeah.
I and I don't say that to be short because I mean thank you in a very broad and very deep way. I mean, I am so grateful to be able to portray this character, and I'm so grateful to be able to do it in a way where I get to then share it with you all. I'm so grateful that you love this game, that you love this character for all your passion in the form of interaction on social media, fan art, um, you know, videos, like clips, all of the ways that the Final Fantasy fans have taken this series into their hearts and kind of made it their own. Thank you for that, because all of that is something that has made this journey unbelievably amazing for me. And so thank you to all of you for that in the biggest way possible.
I can see the passion that you have for it, and it really shines through.
It's the character. Aerith is an amazing character. How could I not love her? You know?
It is.
How can I not love this game?
And it's a very complex character arc too that you don't see very often, really.
Yes, it's very special. It's very special.
Mm.
It's very unique. You're exactly right. You don't see it that often. And yeah, a lot of actors spend their lives dreaming of a role like this. And I get to live it. So thank you really doesn't even begin to cut it. It really doesn't. But I try when I say I thank you in all the different ways because it really, it's a lot.
So, Strange Rebel Gaming, March 18th, we got the stream. Follow you on all socials, Instagram, Twitter. Where else can we find you?
Yes. Well, the big ones are YouTube, of
Yep.
course, Strange Rebel Gaming, and Twitch at The Strange Rebel. And then, of course, all of my kind of like other updates go up on things like Instagram and Twitter. And it just, not to be confusing, I do have more of like a content focused Instagram and Twitter at The Strange Rebel. And then I have more of like a personal focused Instagram and Twitter at It's Brianna White. So
I'll leave
I
them all
try
in
to
the
kind
description. It's all good.
it's a lot. I know you don't have to leave them all, but most people are able to kind of find them one way or another. But I do have kind of like my more personal stuff and then my more content stuff. So whatever strikes your fancy.
You don't strike me as a strange rebel, you know?
You don't really?
No. There's nothing. What's so strange?
Well, what does it mean to be a rebel, right? Rebels break the status quo. They go against the grain. But we're not over here trying to, break things and, hurt people. We're rebels in strange ways, in that we are strangely compassionate and strangely understanding and strangely nice. We're strange rebels.
I like that.
We break the status quo, but in the right ways.
Okay, I am a strange rebel.
It's hard these days to go against the grain and be nice on the internet. Is that not strange these days?
No, you're 100% right. Yeah. Can I be a part of this? Am I a strange rebel now?
You are.
Beautiful.
You are. Very strangely rebellious. Rebelliously compassionate and kind.
Thank you, Brianna. I really appreciate it. Before I let you go, is there anything, is it possible if Aerith says something to Dan to round this out? Can she come alive and say something? Anything you want that comes to mind?
Oh, let's see. Here's a great one. Here's a great one to end on, an inspirational one that people ask for all the time. Gotta look forward, not back.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
That one's from Remake.
Yeah, from Remake. Great scene.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you, Brianna. I really appreciate it.
Of course. This was fun.